I want to hear G Cobb's comments. Let's bring in Garry Cobb now. Garry, how you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Garry, I can hear you, Garry.
Okay.
I got you. You tell me, Garry, what's your initial takeaways from the Jags game yesterday? You've heard all the what's going on around with everybody. I don't want to pollute the question. You tell me how you saw that game.
Well, of course, ultimately, they got the win. I was really relieved that they did not blow that game against a team that they had outplayed, for the entire game. That the play with Saquon, which was the one where he was, was that a tackle or did he just fumble the ball on his own and all that? For that to turn into a touchdown, 8 points the other way, really, I did not want to see them lose that game. I mean, come on. That was much like the Falcons game, to lose a game where really you should have won the game. So the play by Nakobe there in the end zone was a great play and really allowed everybody to walk out of there because people were very angry, okay? People are angry at Nick with all the stuff with the 1 point, 2 point. Kick the extra point. Come on. Crap. What are you doing, man? It's like you wonder, like, what is going on up there with him? But for the team to lose a game that the other team, come on, they're in the second half where they got 150 yards or 120 yards of total offense, and the Eagles got 400 and some yards of total offense, and you're going to end up losing this game? Fortunately, they got out and did not lose the game. Or I don't know whether I don't know what they would have done with Nick then. I mean, come on.
How about this, Garry?
Yeah.
To your point here, explain this one to me and how this team had a shot here. Like you said, the first downs, the Jags had 14, Eagles had 21. The Eagles were great on third down, 9 of 17. The Jags were 3 of 20. They were 30%. Here's another telling stat. The Jags had only 50 plays in the game. The Eagles had 73. Total yards. The Eagles had 450. The Jags had 215. They ran the ball for 237 yards on 46 attempts, and the Jags had 60. The Jags lost the turnovers. They had 3-1. Tell me this then. How in the world does a team like that have a last score opportunity, driving the ball down the field, a 2-6 football team? How does that work, Garry, where your team's in a position to win the ball game? Was it coaching, or did they play down to their competition?
Well, no, I didn't think they. I thought some, you got to give some of it to coaching because, even though they were moving the ball, they didn't have all the points on the board that they should have. Like there's sometimes take the field goal. Like what do you like the one time where they ran the fourth down play? What was that play? Where Jalen's running all over the place? Like what are you doing? Like what was the design of that play? Just totally ridiculous. Kick the field goal, especially then. Kick the field goal and you're up by 9. They got to score 2 times to win. Why do you not take that? It's like whatever, 40-some yard field goal. You wonder, what are you doing? And then of course they wound up, having them kick from he's got to make a 60-yard field goal. It's just that all of the nonsense by the goal line, man, like with the extra point, like kick the extra point. Whatever, just doesn't seem like where you wonder what's going on over there, even though they were totally outplaying them. Jacksonville was doing nothing offensively, and you don't put the game away. That was frustrating. I mean, a lot of people were very angry about that, but times I really wonder what is going on. I don't know about what after the 2-point, the 2-point conversion, the extra point.
You know how many times he had a chance, Garry, to make it a 3-score game? Instead, he's going for these 1 points that it had no bearing if you don't get it. I mean, my problem is, he says he's going to put, and he says that, by the way, he says in his presser today that he wouldn't have changed anything of any of his decision making. Garry, does he worry you that he's going to cost them a game that matters, like in the playoffs? Because with that kind of decision making, dude, Doug Peterson outcoached him. Because all the numbers I gave you, for them to have a chance to win the game at the end, Doug outcoached him.
Yeah, you definitely would say that. I mean, I don't know what he sees, but it's not about all of this nonsense with the extra point. Like, kick the extra point, man. It's not about all that. But I was very frustrated at looking at that game because they had completely outplayed this team, and yet it wasn't showing up on the scoreboard. And I think ultimately it's going to wind up costing them if they keep on with the nonsense. And I don't see the design of what exactly he's doing. I don't see that it's making this team better. So I think it's very frustrating to get into that. And the shame of it is, you see the play of some of the guys. I mean, for Devontae to come in and make the plays he made in the game with the game on the line. And, of course, Saquon, look at the way this guy played. I mean, on that running play where they give the ball to him on that draw down by the goal line, and the guy just flat out outruns the entire Jacksonville team to go in untouched. You got guys playing some great football, but you don't just go ahead. That should have been a walk.
Oh, my God. I should have been a blowout. Yeah, you got a guy who's like Roger Kingdom and a high hurdler. He's sprinting down the sidelines like that. Guys are putting great performances up, and you got a coach taking 9 points off the board. Think about that here. Instead of a 5-point win, you should have won that thing by 4 scores. Instead, what you're doing is you kept momentum going for them.
That's right. With this nonsense, all the nonsense after they score a touchdown, you got the nonsense, and you're not going and taking points when you go down there. If there's a time, go ahead and kick the field goal, man. What is he doing? And then the plays and everything. It was really just frustrating. But I think I'm seeing a lot of pluses with the team though. Defensively, offensively, you see people really stepping up and playing well. And I want to see AJ get back out there. Of course, he's very important to this football team.
It's been reported a couple minutes ago, Garry, that it's day to day.
Well, that's good. Day to day is good. You didn't want to hear that he,
3 to 5.
Well, you don't want to hear about him taking any time off and everything because he's important to the team. But I think I am, happy with certain things with the way the pluses. They've got some great players, and I just think it's a matter of them letting these guys play. But defensively, to see the linebackers play as well as they did, and force those turnovers, and everybody was getting in on it, and see the defense playing better. So the defense is definitely playing better than they were earlier in the year, and offensively, they've got some great players. You just hope it all comes together. But I tell you, boy,
wow,
they sure can keep you up at night.
Absolutely. Here, hey Garry, is it fool's gold, or is it you're seeing progress when the last 4 weeks combined record, we're looking at it like 9, I think it's 9-24 versus these teams like the Browns, the Jags. The Bengals aren't as bad as what their record is, in my opinion. The quarterback's playing a great year. They did a nice job on him. The Giants are awful. The quarterback didn't even have any passing yards, Daniel Jones, in the first half last week, or on Sunday, I should say. I mean, they played some absolutely poor football teams. Can it be fool's gold, or are you seeing between the lines? Is there something that you're seeing where you're seeing trends? You and me work off of trends. We don't really just basically look at one game like the Jag game. Do you look at it that way still to this day, where you're looking at the team is trending in a great place, in a great way defensively, and you're starting to see the trending kind of what they did in 22 offensively?
Yeah, well, I look at the defense. I liked a lot of these young players that they're putting out there. A lot of these guys are growing, they're maturing. Of course, you look at guys, they're young, but you see the talent, and you see guys that are working, and they're getting better. They're getting seasoned on the pro level. So I think they're going to be able to play against anybody. I really do. I think that I look in the secondary. I see young guys that I think can play against anybody, and they're learning the game. As they get into this end of the season, you get these teams that are experienced and everything. They need to learn. So it's good that they're getting opportunities to get out there and play on the professional level. I feel better about the pass rush, where they seem to be getting more consistent. So you got a defense that's going in the right direction. And as I said, with excellent play of the linebackers, they had an outstanding game. So to see the defense going in that direction, offensively, you're seeing some of the same things where they're playing better. They're making plays that you want to see, that you need to have a pro quarterback. The way Jalen is playing, it's going in the right direction. So I definitely am encouraged by what I'm seeing. Of course, they're playing against Jacksonville. I would have liked to see them put them away. I would have liked to seen that where you put the team away, and that's part of being a good football team. But I do like a lot of the pieces. I think a lot of the pieces are coming together. So, it's going to be exciting. You got Dallas coming up. I know Dallas is, if you don't have Dax, that's not the same team. But ultimately, everything's going in the right direction.
You got Washington and Baltimore coming up on the back end of that. So that's going to tell us a lot more.
That's going to tell us a lot more. But, go ahead and beat the people on the schedule. They're doing that. So I think this team is going in the right direction.
How about this here? A couple last ones for you. Josh Sweat. Let's start there. I mean, he looks like Josh Sweat 22 now. You're seeing pressure. You're seeing him play the run. He's playing with force. I mean, he was really bringing it. And then on the other side, the guy that makes you forget about Bryce Puffin stuff with his 5 reps that he had in the game, this kid, Zach Bond, hey, Garry, he started the football game. I thought he was the only guy on the field for the defense. I mean, this guy was all over the place. Have you ever seen something like that where a guy was on special teams his entire career? All of a sudden, they plug a guy in, and all of a sudden he goes on to play 10 years. Well, maybe I'm doing something here. Maybe I'm naming you. Did you play right away like that? Did you have to come up through the special teams? Because you were a 12-year, 13-year guy yourself. Is that how you got to being a 10-plus veteran?
Well, I really didn't get going really to my 3rd year. That's when I starting the whole way and everything. So to some degree, but he clearly is a good football player. I mean, you can see that the guy can run. He's a good athlete. He's a good one-on-one tackler, which is what you got to do as a linebacker in the NFL. You got to make open field tackles because you got all these receivers on the field. And he's shown that he's a tremendous athlete, and the guy is a playmaker. And he's done that long enough to where you can see that this guy just, say he's a late bloomer or whatever you want to say. He's a good football player. So I saw something where they said they should sign him. They should. Yeah. They should keep him here. They don't need to let him go somewhere else. He doesn't need to get out of here. So and you need your linebackers making a lot of plays with today's game because you're out there in the open field. You got to make open field tackles. You got to be able to cover receivers in certain spaces and everything. He's shown all of that. So I'm definitely enthused by what they've shown. And I think they got a lot of kids in the secondary that are also showing a lot. So I think the defense is starting to come along where they could be playing against a good offense and go out there and be able to compete against them and hold them in check. So I definitely think this team is going in the right direction.
Last question for you. Jalen Hurts is on pace for 200 carries. That's an awful lot of carries for
that's a lot by a quarterback.
Right now he's at 90 with another 9 ball games to be played now. So we're looking at probably around 195, 200 carries. Is that sustainable? And you got Barkley that's trending at 350. Most he's ever carried, Garry, was his first year at 290. We're talking about a guy who's had 2 knee injuries in the last 4 years. Both these guys are essential in how that offense is looking, obviously, right now. Are you concerned about that, or do you just ride that horse?
Well, I know the game yesterday probably is more than, you're not going to go any higher than that. I know he's up in the 20s.
27.
Yeah. See, now you
Hurts
probably want that.
Hurts had 14, and he had 27.
Yeah, you probably don't want to go any more than that with Saquon. And I don't know that you're going to, go over 10 every game with Jalen. So I think they just got into a flow of things. You don't want to go any numbers any higher than those because you want to keep these guys healthy. At the same time, this is football. A guy can carry the ball one time and get hurt. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you do want to be smart about it. And I think that if you get AJ out there, I think that opens things up more. But I do like the way the team is going. I think that the offensive line has established themselves to where they feel that they're going to put Saquon in position to break something every, 4 or 5 carries. So I think this team has gotten to the point to where there's a physical part of the way they play it on both sides of the ball. And the physical part of the game is part of the game. So I do think that this team has got a chance to have a big year. And we all know that's what that means, is that you got to be playing your best ball at the end of the season. And hopefully that's what happens. But they sure can make things exciting that you shouldn't be boring.
I'm going to ask you out the door
because
here. Who's a shittier situational play calling head coach, James Franklin of Penn State or Nick Sirianni? Hey, I just like, why do I look at the Eagles head coach and I see James Franklin and I see Nick Sirianni? I can't tell the difference, dude.
I looked at both of those games, man, and I tell you, you're just saying all you do is shake your head, man. These guys, they have a way of every week you're going like, what is it now? I mean, these guys, and I joke with some of the guys over there at the station who are Penn State guys, and then to have them lose that game like that, man. I just said, you know what? It just, some things never change, man.
He likes John with the fans too, man. I mean, he's just like, he's like Nick a lot, man. James Franklin. Gary, get these numbers. He's 1-14 against top 5 teams, and he's 1-10 versus versus Ohio State.
I tell you, I feel sorry for the guy, man. It just seems like every year. And he's going out there where they got a talented team, especially this was not really, this Ohio State team, that wasn't a special team. Come on. Figure they should be able to beat these guys sometime. I mean, they got talent on the same level, but they just can't get it done. I hope we don't experience that with Nick and the Eagles, man, because people were not happy over there, man. They lost that game.
Oh,
people were not happy over there at the stadium. They'd have lost that game, boy.
Hey, this is personally for you here. So we had Michael Irvin on last week, right?
Yeah.
Michael Irvin told me a little secret that I think that I had to tell you, and I told Garry I told Michael that I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
So some alumni guys at Southern Cal are starting to think about the buyout. And I was like, his buyout is insane, Lincoln Riley's. And he goes, SC has the money. Don't think they don't have the money. They could buy the Pope. They could buy the Pope out if they wanted to. What would you think about Deion Sanders being the head coach of Southern Cal?
Well, I think that's something he can do because he can recruit talent.
Yeah.
The thing is, he needs people that are going to address the line. He's got to have people, which they can make sure they have people in there that are going to help him in that area. But he needs to, like down out there in Colorado, they don't have the offensive and defensive line you need to have if you're going to play on that level.
And at the Big Ten, right?
That's right. And SC, they need to improve on that. But I think Deion could recruit. He can recruit, man. And
hold on for a second. Did I hear Gary Cobb just tell me USC doesn't have an O-line when I remember in my day, Jeff
No,
Bregel,
what
Don
I'm saying is
Mosar, Bruce Matthews,
no,
those dudes.
come on. What I'm saying is they haven't recruited them right now.
Right.
They didn't have, but normally, like when I played there, and which was been the history, is you have outstanding people up front. You got to have that wherever you're playing at. If you want to win, you got to have those people up front. Right now, they don't have those. They don't have those people up front, and that's why I don't think they'd be able to get over the hump this year. But I think Dion, they can make sure that he has those people in there, and he could do it. But I don't know that I see that happening. But I do see where they're not gonna tolerate this level of performance.
You can't lose to Minnesota.
No. Believe me, those guys out there, they do have the big pockets out there. So whatever they want, they could go out and buy it.
Gary, how many games did you lose in 3 years at USC?
I don't know.
2?
We had some good. No, we lost more than that, but we the whole time I've been around part of that program, man. They don't tolerate much more than 1 or 2 losses in a season, man. They're not happy, man. Right away. So they're thinking about changing things. They're not happy with that. They want to go with their buddies and be able to, joke with them about, winning another national championship. And I haven't heard any talk along that line. So unless they're in the hunt for that championship, they're not happy.
Absolutely, man. It's Southern Cal. What the hell? I mean, I grew up. I mean, that was one of the programs that if that team went 10-1, kind of like back in my time, if we went 10-1, that was a sorry-ass year.
Yeah.
Right? Garry.
That's right.
Should be an interesting week, Dallas week, coming off of this. Nick Sirianni, man, he can't get a win without – how about this? They win, they lose. I don't know, right? They win, they lose.
Nick, we don't need the drama, okay? We don't need the drama, especially against a bad team, Nick. Let's win the way we're supposed to win, and people can tell jokes in the second half and laugh and stuff,
Absolutely.
That was too close. Too much drama, man.
Too much drama. Garry, thank you, my friend.
All right, buddy.
All right, the great Garry Cobb. We appreciate him very much. I that is hilarious there, bud. All right. I'm going to take a time out here, and then I'm going to talk about a scumbag. And a child. I am going to talk about a person who has no self-awareness, who is stealing money, who is unbecoming of a professional athlete. Okay? Angelo Cataldi will join us at 5:30. I'll tell you who that scumbag is. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.